Hello, love. It's Kat here. Welcome into today's pick a card reading. I am so grateful and honored to be here with you today, love. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me. All right, love. So for today's reading, we are tapping into ask, when will you meet your next best friend? And so I've decided to tap into a different type of relationship than we normally see in any style of reading. You know, normally when we do tarot readings or oracle readings, oftentimes people will be asking about love and romance, or we'll see a lot of pick a card style readings or general readings that are talking about love and romance. And I know this is something that everybody is very interested in, but I just felt guided to shift to a different type of relationship. I know that in my personal life, I have a lot of connections with different individuals who definitely struggle to make friendship connections as adults. It's just a little bit more challenging to find people that you vibe with, that you connect with, and also people who have schedules that can align with yours. You know, there's just so many different factors that can go into creating new means of friendship type based relationships. And so I just really felt guided to do a little bit of a different style reading today when it comes to a relationship type reading. So we're going to tap in and see what messages of guidance you need to hear when it comes to making new friendship connections in your life, and we'll tap in to see if there is a destined moment when you are to align with your next best friend that you may be calling in or trying to align with. All right, loves, so for our pick a card, pick a pile choices today, I have 5 different decks here. So we are switching it up again. You know, I tried this in one of my recent previous readings, and so we're going to try it again. So I have 5 different tarot decks here. Instead of, you know, shuffling just one deck and picking out the cards, we're going to choose based on the tarot deck that is most calling out to you, the one that's speaking to your intuition. Okay, and we have the 3 of Cups face up from each deck because the 3 of Cups represents the energy of friendship in the deck of the tarot. All right, love, so for pile 1, we have the 3 of Cups from the Shadowscapes Companion Tarot deck. For pile 2, we have the 3 of Cups from the Lightseers Tarot deck. All right, pile 3, we have the 3 of Cups from the Tarot of Tales. Pile 4, we have the 3 of Cups from the Tarot of the Divine. And for pile 5, we have the 3 of Cups from the Cozy Witch Tarot deck. All right, love, so go ahead and choose the deck that is most calling out to you, the one that catches your eye, the one that maybe you just like the artwork of. All right, whichever one you choose, just go ahead and take a moment now to tap in, see which one's calling you. And then I will have timestamps listed in the description box down below that you can click on, and it will take you directly to the beginning of your reading, which is where I will meet you. See you there. Hello, love. Welcome into those of you who chose pile 1. So if you chose pile 1, you were drawn to the 3 of Cups card from the Shadowscapes Tarot. And I love that you chose this deck. This is actually the first tarot deck that I ever owned and actually learned tarot with. I just really wanted to come out today. It's not one that I normally use in readings anymore, but I felt really drawn to it for today's reading. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what messages of guidance want to come through with the Shadowscapes Tarot today. All right, love, so for today's reading, we are tapping in to see when you meet your next best friend and just see what messages of guidance you may need to receive or hear when it comes to relationships of friendship in general. Okay, so if you have any questions or a specific situation that you're working through with a friend or an acquaintance right now, go ahead and take a moment to set that intention and ask those questions, and trust that you will receive the guidance exactly when you are meant to. All right, we have too many there, so we'll take those 2. All right, so your first card to turn over is the Ace of Pentacles. All right, Ace of Pentacles. This represents that energy of physical security. All right, so we also have the Six of Cups. We have the Eight of Cups. We have 3, the Empress. And we have the Six of Wands. All right, so let's see what's going on here. All right, loves. So what I'm seeing here, especially with the Six of Cups, is I'm feeling that if you were drawn to pile 1, it is likely that you have felt this energy of loneliness when it comes to any relationship in your life, both friendship, platonic relationships, and possibly even in your romantic relationships since childhood. I'm just feeling this energy of feeling alone and not having a strong sense of physical support in your relationships since you were a child, and maybe even when you were a child, just because if we look at the Six of Cups here, it has a unique interpretation where there's the the inner child, the young child here is having a tea party, except she doesn't have any real life friends there with her. She's having her tea with her stuffies, with her stuffed animals, and then also the spirit guides, the fairies of the forest that are surrounding her as well. So in a sense, you may have felt very lonely even in your childhood, and just creating strong bonds of friendship may have been a struggle for you even in childhood. But for some of you, I am seeing on the other side of that, maybe you just haven't had a good, close friendship with somebody since you were a child. Okay, so it's going to be a little different for everyone because this is a general public reading. But I'm seeing either one of those two situations for you. Either you've struggled with making friends since you were a child, or it's been since childhood, since you've had a very close, strong, foundational, physical relationship in your life, okay? All right, so let's see what else is going on here. So I do feel that the energy of being on your own has sort of become normal to you. It's just something that you've grown very comfortable with and very familiar with. It's just something that you're used to experiencing. It's almost like there could be this underlying subconscious belief that you don't actually need to have relationships of support outside of you. And this could be in part because like the interpretation here with the child is maybe because you are very spiritually adept and you have strong spiritual connections to your spirit guides, your angels, your ancestors, but also to the environments around you. So I feel as though you are able to find comfort and familiarity and friendship in the environment that you live in itself. So I'm seeing with the earth, like maybe you have this belief that the trees are your friends, or the plants that you grow in your garden, that's your friendship, that's your connection to others and the world around you. It's not necessarily about actually having strong foundations of physical support from another person outside of you, but you do find a sense of connection with things that are outside of you. It's just different from something that you may be wishing for when it comes to seeking those connections in actual people and not just the environments or your spirit guides and those types of connections that you do have in your day-to-day. All right, so let's go ahead and pull a couple more cards here, because I feel that that was really just laying the foundation for us to understand where you're at now. And this could be some of the energy that is, I don't want to say blocking, because it feels like this is something that you're just used to. It's something you're really familiar with and comfortable with, and you may not, I don't want to say you may not actually be seeking connection or friendship in another. Otherwise, you, of course, wouldn't be drawn to this reading. But on a subconscious level, there is something there that you may be afraid to actually look at that is preventing you from being able to make those connections with other individuals. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. We have 1, the Magician, 17, the Star, 4 of Wands, and we have 10, Wheel of Fortune. All right, so that actually was the answer in itself, the message I just shared here. Yes, so Spirit is saying that because you have become so familiar and comfortable with the connections that you've built in your individual life, being on your own and with yourself, and having to form these connections with, I don't want to say almost inanimate, but sort of like inanimate connections, you know, with nature, or just with your day-to-day routines, or maybe those few passerbys that you see, you know, when you're out and about walking, or your neighbors or your coworkers. All right, nothing is deep. The 8 of Cups represents the energy of going deep with something. Nothing is deep. And so it's almost like you prevent yourself from taking things to the next level when it comes to connections in your life, because of the comfortability that you find of being with yourself, okay? And this is something, again, that you have just taken on since childhood. So this could also, of course, be connected to inner child wounds, or a need to go within and provide yourself with the understanding that whatever took place in childhood when it comes to friendships or attempted friendships that you tried to make in childhood is not going to happen again, because now you are able to stand up for that inner child, for your younger self, and for where you are now and who you are now, if similar situations were to repeat themselves. But Spirit's coming in and they're saying it's not likely. You're so far removed from those situations and those types of relationships that you're not going to allow yourself or your inner child to meet those types of connections or situations once again. And so that could also be why you have allowed yourself to be so far removed from being able to form closer bonds with other individuals, is because you're protecting yourself by just kind of seeking friendship within yourself. But this is something that you want, okay? You do want to seek those external connections and friendships with others. You want to feel a sense of safety in your physical relationships, and it is available to you because we have the Ace of Pentacles, which represents the energy of a new beginning, a new relationship that can offer you the sense of physical security and support that you are seeking in another individual in a friendship bond. And with the Magician and the Star, this is just affirming that this is something that you are wishing for. This is something that you have prayed for, okay? But Spirit is asking you to take it a step further, and you can't just stay in the same spaces that you've been staying in, wishing, hoping, and praying to make these connections with other people without moving forward and going out there to seek them, okay? So because you are so spiritually attuned, it is very likely that when you think of creating new bonds of friendship and connection with others, it's very likely that when you start to think about this or wish for it or pray for it, that you receive insight on something to do or somewhere to go. And it's very important that you follow that inner guidance towards those spaces, because that is where you will start to make the connections that you're seeking with other individuals. And so just some specific guidance that's coming through. Spirit is saying to, think about things that you enjoy doing, all right? Gardening is coming up. Maybe there's a specific hobby that you have that you like to partake in. Anything that you enjoy doing by yourself, but when you find yourself doing these things on your own, maybe you wish that you had another person that you could share this passion of yours with, all right? We all have something. Maybe you create something, all right? Because we've got the Empress there. When you create something and you finish that project, you finish creating it, maybe you wish there was someone close to you that you could turn to and share that creation with and receive a sense of support and celebration for it, okay? So whatever it is that you do in that way by yourself, Spirit is saying to seek out places where other individuals do those things, okay? So maybe seeking out a local art studio, seeking out a local gardening center, or checking out your local botanical gardens. You know, sometimes they offer classes, and so maybe you can sign up for a few of those classes. Maybe you can even host an event yourself, and this will be a great way for you to make new connections with other individuals who have a shared similar interest as you, and it is very likely that the wheel will turn for you and you'll be able to meet these individuals, or this one individual who is going to become your next best friend and offer you with this deeper sense of physical security and support when it comes to your relationships of friendship in your life, okay? And I do feel that this connection is also going to shift a lot for you. I feel that when this connection does come in for you, there will be some challenges for you to have to overcome, because you have been so used to being alone, being on your own, doing things on your own, practicing this art form or this hobby, this passion of yours on your own, that you're not used to opening up with others and sharing about the things that you're creating and working on. And it's going to be a bit of a challenge for you to open yourself up to also allowing this person into your life. So it's not just about you trying to meet them where they're at, but also allowing them to meet you where you are at. And so this will require you to be a little bit vulnerable and to shift your perspective on how things have always been and how they don't have to continue being that way, because in some way, on a very deep level, you want them to change. You've asked for this change. You've asked for this transformation. You've asked for these new connections to come forth into your life. But something has to change, and that change starts with you not only wishing, hoping, and praying for it, but also starting to pursue it and to follow that intuitive guidance when it comes through. And Spirit's also coming in, they're saying to be brave and to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be courageous. When you go to these spaces, don't just sit back and be quiet and be shy, okay? Allow yourself to open up and to expand and to share with others why you're there, what your interests are, why you're interested in whatever it is that, you're connecting over or bonding over in those spaces. All right, so make sure that you're allowing yourself to be open and honest as well, and to be a little bit courageous, to be a little bit bold when you move towards these new spaces that are going to bridge the gap for you to be able to make these connections, or this connection with this new person that wants to come into your life. All right, so let's go ahead and pull your oracle cards now. So let's see. We are going to pull some oracle cards from this deck here. This is the Summer of Litha Oracle deck. Or not Summer of Litha. This is the Seasons of the Witch Litha Oracle deck. And Litha represents the transition into the summer season. So that's why I was calling it the summer deck. But that could be a slip where maybe in the summer season you are going to meet this new connection that you're calling into your life. All right, so we have Country Cottage number 7. Yes, work on speaking up. All right, I keep kind of slipping over my words here, so that's just a sign that we also want to activate your throat chakra. Because you've spent so much time alone, you may find it a little challenging for you to open up and speak to others with a sense of fluidity. And it's okay. It's okay if you stumble. It's okay if things are a little bit awkward. It's okay. You'll get through it. And there will be so much Spirit saying, even when you do that, you'll be met with this energy of kindness that you eventually won't even be thinking about how you're presenting yourself in these situations. You'll just show up and be surrendering to that energy of fluidity all the same. Okay, so your first oracle card, Country Cottage number 7. It is time for the seeker to look within. What haunts you can only be faced by you. Yes, you're the only one that can get yourself out of this situation and into the new connections that you are seeking to build. We also have insects with number 21. Vigilance is necessary at this time. Heed the warning. All right, and we have daisies, number 8. There is a whisper of a glimpse of opportunities to fill your life with joy. All right, loves. So what's coming through with these oracle cards is I know it's scary. I know it's scary. I know it's scary to put yourself out there and to allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's also too scary to face the deeper things that are going to come up as you start walking upon this journey, because we have the Six of Cups here as your first card paired with the Eight of Cups. This does tell me that there are some heavy things that you experienced in childhood or in your younger years, maybe even a recent past connection with another friend where just things did not end well, or the entire experience, the entire connection was not the strongest or was not the best for you. And so it's just letting me know that there is something there that does need your attention and does need your sense of support and reclamation over it. Okay, so there's like something that you are hiding from yourself, from being able to face and bring healing to. And instead of allowing yourself to put yourself back out there and to open up to new connections of friendship, you find it a lot easier to just do things on your own because of what happened in this past experience, these past experiences. All right, but Spirit is saying that in order for you to be able to make the new connections that you're seeking, that you want to make, okay, because we had the Magician and the Star there, which was affirming that this is something that you want to bring change towards. This is something that you want to invite back into your life in some way. You have to be willing to do the deeper work, to do that shadow work, and to go within and really look at those past situations and ask yourself what went wrong. Where were you too trusting? Where were you too giving? And just look at that situation as a whole, and then remind yourself that you've already gone through an experience like that, and so you will know if there are new experiences that come up like that. You will know when it's time to set a boundary or to close the door on those connections and to not continue moving forward with them. All right, but again, Spirit's coming in and they're saying it's very, very unlikely that you're going to be making connections like the one that you are bringing a deeper sense of healing to, because you already know what that looks like, and you're not going to go back into connections like that. As soon as those red flags pop up, you're going to be running the other way, because you'll know exactly what it looks like, because it's something that you've experienced. Now, on the other side of this, though, Spirit is saying we don't want to go looking for those red flags, okay? We want you to be able to invite in loving connections that are offering you a deeper sense of kindness, reciprocity, and the sense of physical support and passion, sharing that same shared passion or bonding over something that you have a similar interest in. And so when you are putting yourself out there into these new spaces, we don't want to be looking at it from the lens of those past connections, those past relationships. That is something that will come up very naturally for you. You'll just know on an intuitive level. It's not something that you're going to have to go looking for and putting a guard up towards, okay? So we want to shift your energy to focusing on the types of connections and relationships that you actually want to invite into your life by reclaiming the truth over what types of experiences you want to have in the relationships that you're trying to align with and attract back into your life, okay? All right, another thing that's coming up is Spirit is asking you to look at where you are holding yourself back from being able to allow new connections and bonds of friendships into your life. That's what this country cottage is about, and this insect card as well. Okay, because with the daisies and the Ace of Pentacles and your clarifier cards here, the Magician, the Star, the Wheel of Fortune, the Four of Wands, this is assuring us assuring you that new connections of friendship are already available to you. They're already present in your reality. You know, there's probably individuals who are already connecting with you that live close by within your local communities. Maybe you're connecting online. Maybe there are those passerbys, those neighbors, those people that you keep at a distance, but you see every once in a while. There are already connections that have the potential to blossom into something more, into a stronger foundational connection of friendship, but you aren't allowing yourself to access those avenues of connection because of what needs your attention from the past, what needs your awareness, that is blocking you from being able to open up and be vulnerable once again, and to actually invite in these new connections that you are seeking and trying to call into your life. They are available to you though. All right, let's go ahead and pull your next oracle cards, love. Wow, so I just realized we have like a lot of 6s, and we have countings. We have 2 8s, 2 6s, and then we have 6 7 8 here. 6 7 8. All right, so this is just affirming that you are on the way. I feel this is definitely something that you've been working on coming to terms with and bringing a deeper sense of healing towards for quite some time. And so it's like you're just over the threshold. You're about to give yourself complete permission to start to be vulnerable and to really put yourself out there and to start forming these bonds of friendship and connection. And of course, that makes sense because we have the Ace of Pentacles, which again represents that complete new beginning of connection. All right, so we have Industrious. This is from the Oracle of the Divine cards, by the way, and this deck is a little new to me, so we are getting familiar with it together. All right, so you have Industrious. This again is bringing light to your sense of creativity, your very creative soul. All right, and we also have Hyper Focus. Yes, okay, so yeah, don't work too hard also. If you picked pile 1, you really like to throw yourself into your work, into your creative passions, and so you may also convince yourself that you don't have time for bonds of friendship, even though this is something that you want, this is something that you're seeking on a deeper internal level. You just allow yourself to get very distracted by your work. You get hyper focused on things. I'm even seeing here that you may struggle with meeting timelines. So in the sense of like maybe you make plans with somebody to meet them for dinner or to go on a date with them, like a friendship date, get together for coffee, and then you're so hyper focused on your work, on your creative projects, that you forget that you made that appointment with those friends, and then, you know, maybe they get frustrated with you and so they never call you again. And so it's almost like you're sabotaging your chance at being able to grow and expand in your connections of friendship because you are not holding them up to the same level of importance as you sort of should be or desire to. Okay, so if you make appointments with individuals or you make coffee dates with individuals to get together, hold that to high importance because you're blocking your ability to open up that line of connection and that means of communication and building something more because you are letting it fall to the wayside. You're not prioritizing it, even though this is something that you desire to grow within and to expand upon. This is also, the Industrious and Hyper-Focus card is also just reaffirming that you can make connections with individuals who have a shared similar interest as you. And I am seeing that your next best friend will be somebody who has this shared passion as you because they will be able to find understanding in sort of, you know, the ways that you work. So like this energy of being hyper focused on things, you just get caught up, you lose track of time. This individual that is coming into your life that you're trying to attract and align with they will also have that similar energy where they just get so hyper focused on things. So if you miss a coffee date with them, they'll likely understand. Maybe they'll just show up, see what you're working on, give you some tips or guidance, or just kind of gas you up and celebrate what it is that you're working on. And then you'll open the space for them to bring their work over and to work on it alongside of you. So it's something that has the potential to blossom into something really beautiful and supportive without you having to change who you are and how you operate in the world. Okay, and so with that being said, too, Spirit's saying that is possible for you. There could be some fears around that where you think you have to change your ways of doing things or operating in the world, especially when it comes to your work and your creative expression and your creative projects. And Spirit's saying it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe temporarily, okay, because in order for you to even find these connections and to develop these bonds, you have to get your head out of those spaces that you've allowed yourself to become so comfortable and familiar with. But after you initiate those bonds of connection and you meet these individuals that you want to develop a deeper bond with, then you can find a sense of flow in your creative passions and hobbies and interests and work, while also bringing them into the mix. And it'll go a lot more fluidly, okay? All right, love. So for your last card today, what I did was I drew out each of the months of the year from the tea leaf fortune cards. And so we're just going to shuffle these and try to get you a timeline on when this connection is going to be coming into your life, okay? All right, this bottom one wants to come out. Oh, okay, this one here. All right, so let's see. When is it? November. Okay, November is not too far off from when I'm sharing this. We are currently in the month of July, the end of July, entering into August. And so I am seeing that by the month of November, you will be in a deeper bond with somebody. So this doesn't mean this is exactly when you'll meet, but what I'm seeing is that you'll most likely meet this individual over the next couple months. I'm seeing 2 to 3 months. So anywhere between September, October, November, but by the month of November, you'll have a deeper connection with this individual, and the sense of fluidity that you're seeking in a connection will be deeply present in your life, and it won't be something that you're still trying to seek out. It'll be something that is available and present in your life, and you'll just be bonding and growing and expanding with a new individual, with a new friendship, with your new best friend. And this will also allow you to bring healing to these past experiences and to expand in your own means of creativity and personal connection with yourself and life and other relationships as well. All right, loves, so that is it for your reading today. I thank you so much for tuning in, my loves. This was a really beautiful reading and messages of guidance to share with you all. So I really thank you for allowing me to deliver these messages of guidance to you. If you enjoyed this reading, please give this video a thumbs up. And of course, I would love to hear from you all in the comments below. Let me know which pile you picked, if you chose pile 1. And of course, if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, I do offer private one-on-one readings. You just have to send me an Instagram on a DM on Instagram at selfunity, or you can even use the new YouTube feature and send me a DM on YouTube now as well, and we can set up a personal reading for you. All right, loves, I thank you so much once again. I'm wishing you a beautiful, blessed day. Until next time, bye, love. Hello, love. Welcome into those of you who chose pile 2. If you chose pile 2, then you were drawn to the 3 of Cups from the Lightseers tarot deck. All right, love, so for your reading today, we are tapping in to receive messages of guidance around when will you meet your next best friend. All right, love, so we are getting any guidance around connections of friendship. So if you have any questions or intentions that you'd like to set for this reading now, maybe there's already a connection that you are working through or would like to receive deeper insight on, or maybe there is something that you're calling into your life when it comes to the energy of friendship and manifesting or attracting a best friend into your life, go ahead and take a moment now to just set those intentions and ask those questions, and trust that you will receive your guidance and answer exactly when you are meant to. Alright, love, so we are going to pull your tarot cards first, and then we will get into the messages of guidance that want to come through for you today. Alright, so there we go. Let's see what we have. Alright, so first we have 5, the Hierophant. 5, the Hierophant. We also have 5 of Cups. Alright, we've got 2 5s. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. Okay. Wow, 5 of Pentacles. Alright. And we have the King of Cups. Alright, so 5s are most likely significant to you because we have 3 5s right away. Also drew 5 tarot cards. Further confirming the 5 there. So you may be seeing sequences of the number 5, 55, 555. This may also be an address, and then it may also represent the month of May. So in relation to the month of May, you may be a Taurus or a Gemini, or the individual that you are asking about is likely a Taurus or a Gemini, or they have strong Taurus Gemini placements in their chart. For pile 2, I am feeling that it's very likely there is some type of connection in your life that you're already working through. So if you came to pile 2, I'm just, for some of you, this may not resonate for everyone, I am just seeing that there may be a connection in your life where you are experiencing some type of emotional or mental struggle when it comes to the sense of consistency in the relationship. Okay, so this is based on friendship-based relationships and connections, but for some of you, I am seeing that this could cross over a little bit into the realm of romance, where there could be some almost like confusion energy, where maybe somebody, one of you wants to be friends, but the other wants to take things to the next level. Okay, this isn't going to resonate with everybody. And then the other thing that I'm seeing is that there's just a lack of consistency in the relationship, where one of you is giving more than the other is giving, one is taking more than the other is receiving. Okay, and this is putting this energy of strain on the connection itself. Okay, all right, so let's zoom out a little bit though, because this is about when you will meet your next best friend, but I'm just delivering the guidance that's coming through right now. If you chose pile 2, it's very likely that you are working through a challenging emotional connection with somebody who you already consider to be a close friend. But for those of you who aren't experiencing that and you are trying to attract and align with somebody new, let's see what's going on here. I feel for some of you, you are struggling to take things to the next level when it comes to your relationships that you desire to evolve into a means of close friendship. It's happening because there are other connections in your life that you are afraid to walk away from. So I almost get this energy of like compartmentalizing here, where even though, so I'm seeing like you have close connections in your life now, but they aren't supporting you in the ways that you desire to be supported when it comes to your connections of friendship. And so it's almost like you just allow yourself to remain in relationship with these individuals because they've always been there, or because you've allowed it to get to a state of comfortability. Maybe they are someone who is like a friend of a friend, or maybe you're in a romantic relationship, or your spouse, and then this is like their friends significant other, and so you allow yourself to be in connection with them because you don't want to stir the pot when it comes to admitting the truth around how you actually feel about this connection. It's one that you just kind of put up with because there are other elements at play here. But with the Hierophant and the King of Cups here, Spirit's coming through, and they're saying very strongly that this is a decision, a choice that you will have to make for yourself. All right, because if you allow yourself to continue staying in these connections that aren't supporting you and that are making you feel tired, that are making you feel used, that are making you feel lonely and unheard, it's not going to be good. It's just, you're just going to keep getting more of the same energy that you've been getting and that you've been dealing with. And so Spirit's coming in and they're saying there is another option, but you have to be honest about what it is that you're experiencing in these connections that aren't providing you with what you need from them. Okay, and so I'm getting two messages of guidance around that. So one, if you feel called to, so we're saying if you feel called to, if this is a relationship that you're not ready to close the door on yet, it is one that you want to work through, then you have to be honest about what you need from this relationship. If you want this relationship to evolve into what it is you most desire from this connection, then you have to be vulnerable and you have to speak your truth about what it is that you need from the other person in order for this relationship to feel more supportive and to feel more reciprocal. And for you to not feel the way that you constantly feel when you show up in these connections right now. All right. On the other side of that, Spirit is saying, the other guidance that was coming through is that you may have to decide that this is not a relationship that you want to work through. It's not something that you want to have to voice your concerns around. Maybe it's something that you don't think you need to voice your concerns around because XYZ, they're adults, they should know the way that they're acting, what they're doing. You know, they can take care of these things on their own. They don't need you to do those things. You're not their parent. You don't want to be. Whatever it is, that's just the general energy that's coming through there. If you don't want to open up those lines of communication, then you have to be able to speak your truth to them about that it's time for you to close the door on this connection so that there's not an energy leak there. Because if you just ignore what's been happening without closing the door on the connection, even just for yourself, all right, but I'm seeing that it's a little bit muddled. There's like other individuals involved in this connection for some of you, and so you may have to voice your concerns and your wishes and your desires about closing the door on this connection so that you can align with new connections that will actually be able to provide you with what it is that you desire when it comes to your sense of receiving emotional fulfillment and reciprocity in these connections moving forward. Okay. All right, love. So let's go ahead and pull your oracle cards now. So we're going to pull your oracle cards from the Seasons of the Witch Litho Oracle. I am seeing with the Page of Pentacles there, though, that, you know, either way, like if you choose to address these concerns with this individual, this relationship will take on a new form. All right, there is like a new path available to you and this connection. And then, of course, if you choose to walk away from this connection, it will open the door for new supportive connections to make their way to you. All right, but you have to speak up and speak your truth about what it is that you're experiencing. What makes you feel sad? What makes you feel angry and emotional when it comes to this relationship? What makes you feel unheard and alone in this connection? Because it's very likely that the other individual doesn't know. And then again, if you don't want to do that, that's okay too, but you have to close the door on the connection. You can't continue to open it back up because it won't allow you to receive the emotional support that you're desiring to receive in return from this connection. All right. So this relationship that you're in right now, or previous relationships that you've been in, when it comes to your close friendships, they feel very one-sided. It's almost like you get together for a coffee date, or you call them up on the phone, and they're just like dumping everything on you about their life, and they never ask you how you're doing. And then you hang up and you just have all their stuff, and you weren't able to vent about your stuff. And so you either need to make it known that they're doing that by telling them, or you just need to cut ties completely so that you're not constantly opening the door up to have these one-sided connections, these one-sided relationships where you are not receiving the same sense of emotional support that you're seeking. All right, so we have Sun Magic, number 37. Don't allow the power of your light to scare you into dimming yourself. Okay, so I feel this is definitely the energy that you've been in, but you're waking up to that truth where you've been allowing your light to be dimmed when it comes to these relationships. Maybe because you don't want to stir the waters again, you don't want to stir the pot there, but you're getting the short end of the stick because you're not speaking up and speaking your truth. You're not standing up for what it is that you need in return from these relationships. And so your light is being dimmed because you're not speaking up and giving light to the truth of what it is that you desire and need in return from these connections in your life. You're allowing it to be one-sided, and it doesn't have to be that way. All right, so we also have Farmer's Market, number 9. Remember to distinguish abundance from wholeness. Choose wisely and intentionally. All right, I love this. So this is almost like giving that energy of quality over quantity, all right? Maybe you have a lot of different connections in your life when it comes to the energy, the perceived energy of friendships, but it feels like the quantity of those friendships cannot amount to the quality of what it is that you actually seek from those connections, because again, it's very one-sided. You're not giving as much as you're taking from these connections when it comes to the energy of how you're showing up for them, but not allowing them to show up for you in the ways that you need. All right, and so that's on you to start to allow yourself to open up and to voice what it is that you need, or to start seeking out connections that can very naturally allow you to also take up space in those connections as well. All right, so we also have Lightworker 23. The transmutation of shadow is needed when seeking the light that guides you. Yes. So again, affirmation that you have been allowing yourself to sort of hide back in the shadows and let this other individual or other individuals in your communities take up space, where you are also invited to come in and take up space. And again, they may not even be aware of it, because this could be just something that they have perceived to be part of your personality. And even though they love you and they appreciate you and they're so grateful for how you continuously show up for them, they may not even have an inkling that they're not able to provide for you what it is that you are needing from them, because you just allow yourself to linger in the back, hang out in the shadows, and not speak up about what it is that you actually need. So some guidance that's coming through, specific guidance: next time you're on the phone with your friend, you're out at a coffee date, they start just rattling off about what's going on in their life, Spirit saying, come in and cut them off. Just cut them off. It'll throw them off a little bit. It'll seem a little bit rude to start with, but just do what you can to be able to insert part of yourself and your needs and your desires into the conversation as well, so that you can take up space and also see how you can be received and met with the energy of love and comfort and support that you're seeking from these relationships that already exist in your life. You're the one that's preventing yourself from allowing this connection to bloom and blossom and to grow into something that is actually the emotional support system that you need it to be. All right, I feel here that maybe you get in your head a little bit with the Hierophant, the King of Cups. It's like you know what it is that you need, what it is that you want to say, what it is that you want to share with others, but when the time comes for you to do that, you pull yourself back a little bit. You get a little bit in your head You're the only one judging yourself. Nobody's going to judge you. In fact, when you start to open up and share about these deeper emotional truths that you want to get off your chest and share about with others, they're probably going to come in and they're going to open up to you about similar experiences and situations in their life as well. And so it will help you to be seen in what it is that you're going through, and then it will give you something that you can almost bond over and learn from and grow from together. Okay, so Spirit's coming in and they're saying, don't be shy. Don't be shy anymore. Come out of your shell. Let us see who you are. All right, let those connections see who you are. All right, let them see who you are as you are. All right, so we're pulling 2 more oracle cards, and this is from the Oracle of the Divine, and this deck is a little new to me, so we are going to get familiar with it together. All right, so we have temptation, and this is paired with wrath. Okay, what is this about? Okay, so we are taking a bit of a turn with the message here. Okay, I feel that you have a lot of built up. I'm getting a couple of different messages here. I feel you have a lot of built up emotions of anger or frustration when it comes to this relationship, like we talked about. And so when I share this energy with you, like the messages that I'm sharing with you, some of you may be a little bit frustrated, all right? And so if what I've shared so far is something that you have already tried in these connections and you're still not receiving in return what it is that you desire from these connections, they're not providing you with the sense of emotional support that you're seeking, even though you've already addressed these concerns and these issues with them, even though you've already opened up and shared about things you're going through and haven't been met with the means of emotional support that you need and desire from these connections, then it is time for you to close the door on those relationships. It's time for you to say goodbye to these connections that aren't able to or are not trying to, that are lacking in being able to meet you where you're at, or to at least meet you where they're at and being able to even try to be of support to you. All right, and through you closing that door, you will be able to open up, because we have the Page of Pentacles here, and because you're going to continue to not dim your light and accept less than you deserve in relationships of friendship, new connections will align and will come into your life very naturally, organically. Spirit's coming in and they're saying, yes, there will be a brief little period where you may have to go on like friendship dates, or put yourself out there and try to make new connections with people, but again, follow the guidance I shared around not being shy and not dimming your light when you're seeking these new bonds and these new connections with others. All right, don't put yourself back in a space where you're meeting somebody new and you're taking on learning all this stuff about them, but not sharing anything about yourself. You want to put yourself out there, share with them. You don't have to put it all on the table, but just share with them about your life. You can open up about 1 or 2 emotional things that you're working through. This will give them space to open up about a couple emotional things that they're working through as well, and it will see if you're able to bond with one another over these bigger things in life that you are seeking a means of emotional support around. Okay, also with the Hierophant here too, I also feel that you may struggle with making connections with the people in your life, the previous relationships in your life, when it comes to your level of intellectual intelligence. All right, so maybe you really want to meet somebody who has the same level of intelligence as you, and you just struggle to find connections that can reciprocate what it is that you're seeking on an emotional level, because they also don't have the same like mental wiring that you have where you're at in your life right now versus where they're at in their life right now. And so with that, Spirit is also guiding you to go to spaces that are going to attract people who have that same level of mentality as you. So it's very likely, if that message resonates with you, that you are interested in very specific things. So like philosophy or science or things involving like mathematics or astronomy. And so Spirit's saying to seek out spaces where groups of people who also are interested in those things gathered, okay? And you'll know where those spaces are, but you have to take the first step and put yourself into those rooms with those people. All right, so the other message that was coming through with these cards was the temptation here. So some of you may also struggle with seeking out new connections and bonds of friendship with others, because there could be this block that you put in front of yourself around things of temptation. Okay, so maybe like you used to drink a lot and you don't want to drink anymore, and the ways that you used to make friends was through bonding over drinking. All right, but you don't want to put yourself in those spaces anymore, and Spirit's coming in and they're saying that's just a block. That is not the only way to make new connections in life. And so you may need to go within and just address that that is something that is an excuse. It's a block that's preventing you from being able to move forward and move into the spaces where you're being guided to connect with other individuals who have also grown and expanded away from those things that you consider to be of a temptation to you. All right, so again, that's just a block that you have to overcome. And this may also be something that you can open up to others about. You know, if there's things that you used to do that you no longer do that you consider a temptation, when you go into these new spaces and these new relationships with others, you can open up to them about those temptations and share with them, I had to overcome this and now I'm not doing those things anymore, and I'd like to make bonds of friendship, connection with individuals who also don't do those things or went through that same path that you went through. Okay. All right, love, so we are going to pull one last card. And what I've done with this deck here is I pulled out all the months of the year from the tea leaf fortune cards so we can get a specific date on when you will meet your next best friend, okay? And so for your reading, we're just going to see when you will bring a deeper sense of healing to the energies that we talk through in your reading, and when you will align with the relationship that you're seeking to gain reciprocity from, or a deeper sense of emotional support from, or for those of you who are seeking out new connections, when you will meet them. All right, so let's see what yours is. Oh, you have October very soon. All right, so I'm filming this in July, so if you're tuning in around the same time as when I'm sharing this, just a couple months time, this energy, this relationship that you're connecting with, it will come to a peaceful resolution by the month of October. All right. Oh, I can't pick that up. By the month of October, or you will be connecting with new individuals that show you that there is a possibility and potential for you to also take up space in new connections and relationship, to share these deeper truths about yourself and to be met with the love and kindness and emotional support and reciprocity that you seek to have in your friendship bonds. All right, love. So October is when you will meet your next best friend, when you will come to a peaceful resolution with this energy that we talked about today. So that is it for your reading today, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in and allowing me to bring forth these messages of guidance for you. I know it seems like you have some big things to work through and some things to open up about, which can be a little bit challenging. So just take your time with it. Take your time with integrating through these lessons and experiences that you're working through, and with opening up to these other individuals that you're going to be opening up to about these deeper truths of yourself and what it is that you need and what it is that you want to share with others when it comes to you speaking your truth and sharing your light with others, because we are ready to see you for who you truly are, and there are individuals out there who want to meet you where you're at just as you are, and they want to love on you and grow with you and bond with you over those things and what it is that you have to offer and share. All right, love. So just take care when you're working through this energy. All right, love. So I thank you so much once again. If you enjoyed this reading, please give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. Let me know if you picked pile 2. And of course, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I do offer one-on-one private readings. You just have to send me a DM on Instagram at selfunity, or you can use YouTube's new feature and send me a private message through the YouTube chat now as well, and we can set up a one-to-one personal reading for you. All right, loves, I thank you so much once again. I'm wishing you a beautiful, blessed day. Until next time, bye, love. Hello, love. Welcome to those of you who chose pile 3. So if you chose pile 3, you were drawn to the 3 of Cups card from the Tarot of Tales deck. All right, love, so for your reading today, we are tapping in to receive messages of guidance around when will you meet your next best friend. All right, love, so for today's reading, we are going to be getting insight and messages of guidance around friendships in your life. So if you have any questions or intentions that you'd like to set around this energy, maybe you're already connecting with somebody now and you'd like to get deeper insight on that connection or relationship, or maybe there's something that you're calling in or working through with yourself right now around the energy of friendship relationships, go ahead and just take a moment now to set those intentions and ask those questions, and trust that you will receive the guidance exactly when you're meant to. All right, love, so we are going to pull your tarot cards first, and then we'll get into your messages of guidance for today's reading. All right, so let's get 2 more. All right, take that one. One more. All right, your cards are not wanting to come through. There we go. We have Ace of Coins. Wow. So Ace of Coins came out in pile 1's reading, and it flipped out of the deck and turned over just like this in the exact same spot. Like I had all the cards pulled out 1 through 4, and then the Ace of Pentacles fell out of the deck, and it was the 5th card. That is so eerie, so spooky. So if you were torn between, maybe between pile 1 and 3, and you're feeling called to check out both readings, I mean, that's definitely a sign to check it out. But of course, always listen to your intuition and just go to where you're guided. But that is so cool. All right, so let's get into the rest of your cards now. So we have the 2 of Wands. All right, 2 of Wands. We have the 2 of Swords. Wow, starting out with 2 2s. We also have the Hierophant. All right, and we have the Queen of Cups. All right, so let's see what's going on for pile 3. When it comes to friendship connections. All right, love. So I almost feel here, especially with this interpretation of the Hierophant here, I feel as though you are somebody who has a lot of connections in your life, but none of them feel extremely solid. They don't feel foundational. It just feels like you have a lot of acquaintances, or maybe you have a lot of professional relationships in your life, but there's no 1 or 2 or 3, few relationships that you feel as though you can really lean on. It's like when you're constantly picking up the phone, it's because you're dealing with issues of business, or you're dealing with family matters, or, it's like you're constantly trying to just solve problems for everybody, and nobody's really, kind of checking in on you. No one's picking up the phone to call you and see what you need, or see if you need support, or if you need a friend to lean on. And so I'm getting a couple different scenarios here. One, you just may be somebody who is just very involved in your career right now. Maybe you're a teacher or an entrepreneur, doer, and you just have a lot of people always looking up to you, looking to you for the answers and solutions to things. You may also be like an eldest child or a parent, and so you're just constantly worried about your family, checking in on your family. And because you're so busy with these different scenarios and these other things going on in your life, you don't necessarily feel as though you can even make time for bonds of friendship to come into your life. But it is something that you're seeking, okay, because we have the Queen of Cups here, and we also have these two of Wands and Two of Swords here, which means this is something that you're seeking, but it's almost like you feel torn between what it is that you want and the responsibilities that you have to take care of. Okay, so it's almost like you divide your energy into thinking that you have to have one or the other and you can't have both. Okay, but Spirit brought you to this reading to let you know that yes, you can have both if that is what you desire. Now, Spirit is saying it may come with a means of sacrifice, because it will mean that things have to change just a little bit. It doesn't mean you have to shirk all of your duties and responsibilities to the connections that you already tend to and take care of, but it means that in some way you will have to allow yourself to prioritize yourself and to put yourself first. And that in itself will allow you to open up the door and the possibility and opportunity for one or two bonds of friendship connection to come into your life, okay? But with the Ace of Coins here, this is assurance that it is possible for you, because Ace of Coins represents this energy of physical foundational support. And with the Queen of Cups here as well, I feel that you're definitely seeking a bond of friendship where you can just sort of lean on somebody and kind of vent out and express the emotional energy that you have to constantly work through on your own, through all the things that keep you busy in your day-to-day life, such as the career energy that we talked about, or the family matters that we talked about. You just want someone who you can like pour a glass of wine with, go for coffee with, and just vent out all your stresses and cares and woes towards, and you can listen to them vent about their stresses and woes, and you can just sort of bond over that energy of just kind of letting all your duties and responsibilities go, so you can just have a little fun with someone that kind of gets it. They just get what it is that you're going through, and they're willing to support you through it, and you're able and willing to support them through what they're going through as well. But it's more at a distance. It's not where you're just like constantly involved in their life and then taking on their stresses and duties for your own. It's more so just something that you're opening the door to listening to, and then you are allowing them to open their door to listen to you as well. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and let's just pull one or two more tarot cards so we can get a little bit more insight on this. Let's see how we can open the door to this, because Spirit's saying it is possible for you, but ultimately you're not allowing yourself to prioritize that this is a possibility for you. Okay, and so that's number one, putting yourself first. Okay, so we have Two of Coins again. Yeah, you feel like such at a battle with this. Four of Wands, Six of Swords, Strength. Okay, what's coming through is I feel that when you so much as take any amount of time off, so if you resonate with the energy of this being about your career, where you're just very involved in your career right now, maybe you're taking like college courses, your schedule is just jam-packed, all right, with means of professionalism, all right, or you're on the other side of this where you're taking care of family members, elder family members, or raising a family of your own. And no matter which of those scenarios you resonate with, anytime you take time off from either of those experiences, the guilt just floods in. And for some of you, I am seeing that the guilt may come from those individuals that you're taking care of. So maybe you take a day off of work so you can go out with friends or even just acquaintances for a day, or even just have a day to yourself to relax at home, and your boss is just calling you. They can't respect that this is your day off and that you've taken the day off, and they're just calling you, and so it makes you feel bad, it makes you feel guilty, it makes you feel as though you can't prioritize yourself and the means of emotional, physical, and mental care that you need to provide for yourself on those off days. And the same thing with the family unit. You take some time off, next thing you know, your kids are calling you all the time. They're just calling you like, how do I do this, how do I do that? And even though they're with a babysitter, or they're with their other parent, or they're with another family member who's tending to them, they just keep calling you. And so there does need to be a sense of you setting firm boundaries with yourself and with these other means of pursuit that you're allowing yourself to overgive towards. All right, you have to assure them that you are just as important for yourself as you are for your business, for your work, for your career, for your boss, for your employees, and for your family. You deserve to have time to yourself as well, and it will also allow you to show up back into these spaces and connections where you have a lot of responsibility and care to tend to. It'll allow you to show up in those spaces with a deeper sense of strength and support, because you won't just be giving from an empty cup. You'll actually be able to provide from a space of having received what it is that you need in return. Okay, so your guidance for you to be able to connect with bonds of friendship is to first and foremost put yourself first, because right now you're putting yourself into all these other connections that don't even allow for you to entertain the idea of creating bonds of friendship and connection in that way, because you're overgiving in these spaces that you're filling your time up with, and not allowing yourself to come back into a space of simple self-care just for yourself. All right, and so once you allow yourself to do that, Spirit is saying that eventually, over time, you will find enjoyment in that. You will find joy in that. Peace will return back into your life. And then you will very naturally be able to walk the path of the indecision that you're facing right now, and to be able to decide for yourself when it is appropriate for you to take time off and to open up the possibility of developing a deeper connection with someone new from the lens of friendship. All right, but again, it is possible, because we have the Ace of Coins and Queen of Cups there. And this is something that you really need. It's something that you really need. It's something that you really desire. So let's get a little deeper insight on that. Okay, let's get one more. All right, so we have Heat Wave 15. There is something ominous being illuminated by the flames that await. Yes, if you keep going how you're going now, a heat wave is going to come in, and it's going to take you out. All right, we have money magic 25. It is in limiting beliefs that magic goes to die. All right, we are on the precipice of burnout here, and we don't want you to go into burnout. We also have Light Worker number 23. The transmutation of shadow is needed when seeking the light that guides you. All right, loves, again, it's time to look at yourself in the mirror and look at where you are overgiving, where you are allowing yourself to fill up others from an empty cup, because it's not doing anyone a service. It's not doing you a sense of service. It's not doing them a sense of service, because you're probably showing up in these spaces with your cup depleted, and so you're not even able to fully provide for these situations and these connections that are relying on you in the best ways that you could be showing up and providing for these connections and relationships, because you haven't allowed yourself to give to yourself first. And you have to be 100%. Everyone in life has to be 100% filling up their own cup first in order to be able to show up in any situation in their life and to be able to feel a sense of emotional fulfillment and support and gratification for what it is that they're doing and who it is that they're connecting with, whether it's your family or your professional place of business and work. So some of you may need a vacation, maybe time to schedule in a vacation from whichever scenario you resonate with. All right, whether it's the family unit or your business, it's time to take a vacation, time to take a solo vacation. And I am seeing if you resonate with that and you're actually, able to take that vacation, even if it's just a staycation, just a weekend trip, Spirit's saying 2 to 3 days, take some time away from those situations and experiences that are constantly pulling you into this energy of having others to rely on you and not allowing you to prioritize your self-care. Take 2 to 3 days away from that energy and to, just stay inside your own home. If this is away from your place of work, if you can, go do a staycation. If this is something that you're dealing with your family unit, or take a vacation, go somewhere that you're feeling called to go towards. And I'm seeing that it is very likely that when you do that, you will meet somebody who just feels like a best friend to you on that trip. I don't necessarily see this bond growing beyond the lines of that vacation time. For some of you, it may, maybe you add each other on social media or you exchange phone numbers. Maybe you make plans to get together for vacation once or twice a year. But I'm just seeing that it's just sort of like a blessing of a connection that's going to come in during this brief period of time, exactly when you need it and how you need it. And they'll be able to offer you a sense of emotional support, a sense of fun, lightheartedness that you've been seeking for some time, just in that moment of you taking time away from constantly having to meet the needs and demands of other individuals in your life. All right, love. So let's go ahead and pull your next 2 oracle cards. So we are pulling 2 oracle cards from the Oracle of the Divine. And this deck is a new to me deck, so we are getting familiar with it together. Okay, so we have Temptation. This came out in pile 2's reading, pile 2. And we also have Abundance, Temptation and Abundance. All right, so I feel some of you are just denying yourself of taking the vacation that you need. And it could be because you are concerned about money and abundance, all right? Especially if you're connecting with the energy of this being about like a family unit. Maybe you're concerned about making ends meet for that week, or just concerned about the sense of physical support that your family gets from you and how they're going to receive that when you are away. Spirit's coming in and saying they will be able to figure it out. You will be able to figure it out before you leave. All right, you'll be able to call someone, hire a sitter, ask another family member to take over those means of responsibility for a couple days. And the same thing with the work situation. If this is about you taking time off from your career, from your business, from your work for a couple days, you will survive, all right? Just like it says here, it's in the limiting beliefs that magic goes to die. And so when you limit yourself of what it is that you actually need to thrive, not just survive, because right now you're really in this energy of surviving. You need extra support, you need emotional support, you need physical support, mental support. And you're only going to get that through allowing yourself to come back into yourself and provide yourself with what you actually need, mind, body, spirit, and soul. All right, not just those physical means of support. You need to be there for yourself, and through you allowing yourself to be there for yourself, you will receive the abundance that you desire tenfold when it comes to money, when it comes to joy, when it comes to peace, and when it comes to bonds of friendship that you're trying to attract and call into your life. I'm also seeing here, loves, that it's very likely that over the next couple weeks, if you heed this guidance and take a day or two off, go on a mini vacation or staycation, or again, just take some time off to yourself, to be with yourself, even if it's just a couple hours a day here and there, I am seeing that it's very likely that you're going to cross paths with somebody who can turn into a best friend for you, where you can develop a close friendship bond with them. And it's like you're going to bond with them because they're sort of in the same energy that you're working through right now, where they're unable to prioritize themselves, and so they're out in the world seeking a connection with somebody new, who can help them to prioritize their sense of self-care. And it's like through the relationship that you build with them where you'll be prioritizing that sense of self-care. Like you'll sort of be mirroring to each other where it is you overwork and overgive and can pull back. And so it's almost like you'll be kind of, telling each other when you're like out for coffee together, when you're out, shopping, or even just like texting or calling each other on the phone. You'll just be, maybe venting to one another, and they'll say, okay, I see you. This means it's time for you to step away from the situation and give yourself a little time, a little self-care, love. Step away from taking care of others and go take care of yourself for 30 minutes to an hour. And then you'll sort of be doing the same thing for them, letting them know when you see that they're overgiving and telling them it's time to take a step back. So you'll sort of be helping each other to guide one another into those spaces of prioritizing your means of self-care. All right, love, so we're going to pull your last card now. And what I've done is I've pulled out all the months of the year cards from the tea leaf fortune cards. And so we're just going to pull a month and see exactly when it is that you're going to be meeting this next best friend of yours. And for your reading specifically, because this was a lot about prioritizing your sense of self-care in order to be able to align with and attract a new friendship on into your life. Your month of the year card will also be highlighting when you will be able to bring a sense of peace and closure to the energy that we shared guidance around in your reading today. Okay. All right. So let's see, what is pile 3's month of the year? When will they meet their next best friend? All right, yours is April. All right, so I know this seems like a long ways away from when I'm filming this. I'm filming this in July, but April. And I think it's so far off because two things I'm getting. One, it's because right now you do have a lot going on that you need to tend to, and we don't want you to fully have to shirk these responsibilities. And I know in some ways this is a very heavy energy that you can't fully release yourself from. That's why we didn't share guidance around that. But there is a lesson that you're working through and learning right now when it comes to the energy of creating balance in your responsibilities of life and the things that you agreed to provide to and for others, versus being able to prioritize your own personal needs of self-care. And so it may take some time for you to come into that energy of balance between those two things that you have going on right now. But we want to remember your sense of self-care should be your first priority, because again, you cannot give to others. You cannot fill others up from an empty cup. And so this is the lesson that you're learning, so that you don't continuously go into this energy of burnout and feeling alone in this journey of constantly showing up for others and giving, and not being able to receive what it is that you need to receive. The other thing is, it may take some time because everything you have going on right now, I do feel like you'll have like you already have friendship bonds with others. They may not necessarily be best friends, but they've got a lot going on too. And so it's like few, what's the saying, like few and far in between when you're able to meet them. Like you're only able to meet them once a month, maybe even once a season. And so it doesn't offer you a lot of time to actually build and develop a close best friendship bond with somebody. All right. The other thing that's coming up with April is it's likely that for some of you, very few of you, you may have met somebody in the previous month of April of this year. All right. So a couple months ago, and it's just taken some time for you to find your groove with one another. Maybe you're not on the same wavelength just yet, but as the weeks, months go on, maybe you'll be able to find your groove with one another as you step away from these situations that are very demanding of your time and energy and start coming back into a place of prioritizing yourself once again. All right, loves. So that is it for your reading today. I thank you so much for tuning in and for allowing me to deliver these messages of guidance to you. If you enjoyed this reading, please give this video a thumbs up and comment down below letting me know that you chose pile 3. I would love to know if you chose pile 3 and what resonated with you in this reading, my loves. And of course, if you would like to book a personal reading with me as well, I do offer one-on-one sessions. You just have to send me a DM on Instagram at selfunity, or you can use the new YouTube feature and send me a direct message through the YouTube chat as well, and we can set up a personal reading for you. All right, loves, I thank you so much once again. I'm wishing you a beautiful, blessed day. Until next time. Bye, love. Hello, love. Welcome into those of you who chose pile 4. So if you chose pile 4, you are drawn to the 3 of Cups card from the Tarot of the Divine. All right, love. So for your reading today, we are tapping in to see when will you meet your next best friend. So we are receiving messages of guidance and insight around friendships of connection. So if there is anything going on in your life now with a connection of friendship that you would like to set an intention around or ask a question about, go ahead and take a moment now to ask those questions and set those intentions, and trust that you will receive the guidance and insight exactly when you are meant to. All right, there could also just be some specific types of friendship bonds or connections that you're trying to align with and call into your life. So just take what resonates here in today's reading as you can apply it to your specific situation when it comes to connections of friendship. All right, love, so we have your tarot cards. So let's see what's going on here for pile 4. All right, so we are starting off with the Magician, number 1 in the tarot. We also have the 9 of Coins. All right, we have the Knight of Wands. And we have the 7 of Coins. And we have the 5 of Coins. All right, so let's see what's going on here for pile 4. All right, love, so what I'm seeing here is I feel like you have some choices. All right, with the 9 of Coins, 7 of Coins, Magician here, you have some choices when it comes to the connections in your life. But with the 5 of Coins coming up here at the end of your reading, I do feel that there is some hesitancy. So I almost feel what I'm seeing here is like you're a very popular individual. You have a lot of connections in your life, but it may feel as though you don't have like an individual strong bond with a single person, or a few people, like 2 or 3. But I'm seeing you're somebody who, even though you have a lot of connections in the external, you may be very introverted. You may be somebody who likes to spend a lot of time with yourself, and so you are seeking to have just like one, maybe two very strong bonds with somebody who you can call a best friend in your life. But right now, it feels as though, even though you have a lot of connections to build a deeper bond with the individuals that are in your life, that are aligning with your life, and that are coming into your inner circle, you're still seeking just one or two very close connections to be more vulnerable with and to open up around. However, there's a hesitancy there because maybe in the recent past, or maybe in childhood, I'm seeing more in recent past, but for some of you it could resonate and go as far back as childhood. I'm seeing that you once had a very close connection in your life with someone who you did deem to be your best friend, but it fizzled out and it left you feeling very depleted. It left you feeling vulnerable. It left you feeling as though you were just left in the dirt, left in the sand. They didn't care about you. They didn't care about the connection. They turned away from it. Something very, very heavy caused this relationship to fizzle out, and you're no longer in direct communication with that individual anymore. And I do see that there is this energy of pain and sadness that surrounds that connection, even to this day, where you may still think about this individual. You may wish that you could reach out to them and connect with them. My heart goes out to some of you. Maybe you did lose this individual to an experience of death. And so my heart goes out to you if that is something that you're working through right now. Grief is never easy, and it never leaves us. In situations of loss like that, and also in situations of loss where they're still here with us in the physical as well. So either way, no matter how we have lost the connection with these individuals, I'm seeing here that it's very, very painful for you to want to even entertain the idea of opening up to a new connection, to form into a bond like you once had with this individual from your recent past, or like I said, as far back as childhood. But with the Magician, the Nine of Coins here, I am seeing that this is, and of course you coming to this reading in itself, this is saying that this is something that you are seeking, that you are desiring to build upon with an individual in your life. And so with the Nine of Coins, Spirit is saying, even the Seven of Coins here, Spirit is saying that you have a choice on who you choose to expand upon a deeper bond with, because you have options. You have a lot of acquaintances. You have a lot of friendships in your life now, people who lean on you, who connect with you, and the relationships feel very reciprocal. There's just these fears of a past experience that you had that are preventing you from deepening into those bonds. And so ultimately, Spirit's saying here that you are the only one holding yourself back from being able to open up and invite in these new connections into your life in the way that your heart, your soul, and your mind is seeking. And with the Knight of Wands here, this is about moving forward, moving full force ahead, and just choosing who it is that you want to build a deeper bond with, and then making the magic happen and learning to grow and evolve in that connection in the ways that you're desiring to. All right. This is not going to repeat. I don't want to say, so Spirit's coming in there saying, we don't want to say it's not going to repeat, but it's not going to repeat in the way that it once did. We can never prevent loss in life from transitioning to the other side, of course. But if this is in a different light, then that experience is not going to repeat, okay? Because you've already gone through that experience, and so it's very unlikely that that experience will repeat. What else is coming through around the energy of loss? If you've lost a close loved one, a friendship bond, because they have moved on and transitioned to the other side, Spirit is coming through and they're saying it's okay to open yourself up to new forms of friendship. We need friendship in our life. And I am seeing here that, I don't want to speak for them, but it's like Spirit's coming in there saying they do want you to make new connections in life. They don't want you to be alone. They don't want you to feel depleted. They don't want you to be in this energy of just having to, you know, go through life on your own. They want you to open up to new bonds of friendship and connection, and invite those relationships back into your life. And you may find that you connect with somebody who's gone through similar experiences that you've gone through when it comes to relationships and connection of friendship as well. And that is something that you can help each other to bring a deeper sense of healing towards and healing from. But I also feel too that maybe you just need to also invite in a little bit of fun back into your life and feelings of joy and pleasure. And so Spirit's also asking you to call up those acquaintances that you're very popular with, call up those friendships, you know, people who consider you at least to be their friend, call them up and to ask them to go do something fun with you, or ask them if there's anything fun that they may be doing, you know, this upcoming weekend. And just ask them if you can tag along, because you need to get out of the house. You need to get out of your day-to-day routines and habits, and you just need to do a little something fun. So this will also open up the gateways for you to be able to start forming those deeper bonds and relationships with the energy of fun in itself, which is what friendship is all about. All right, so we also have, so I pulled oracle cards from the Seasons of the Witch Litha Oracle, and we have peonies. I cannot say this word. Peonies, number 28. It is time to reap your rewards. Settle in for a ride with Lady Luck. Yes. So blessings are coming your way. We also have heirloom tomatoes, number 16. Enter into the depths of intimacy where the seeds of your desires will be nourished. And we have wand making, number 43. With a flick of focus, you will come to see a vision. Realize this is mirroring the Magician card here as well. One and the same. All right, so I'm really drawn to the number 43. So some of you could be around the age of 43 or in your 40s. Okay, so that could just be confirmation for somebody. Spirit actually wants me to talk about the symbolism. So we also have tomatoes. Maybe somebody's growing a tomato garden. We have the peony flowers here. I'm also picking up on like roses and tulips. Okay, so those could be significant to somebody as well. And I just so strongly am feeling like a loved one coming in through the other side. And it feels in connection to the energy of friendship, where this is somebody that you were really close to. And for some of you, this could even be a significant other, a spouse, that has transitioned to the other side, and you consider them to be your best friend in life. And ever since then, it's like there's this energy of struggle to be able to really put yourself out there and to form new bonds of friendship, of true friendship, or of just feeling as though, you know, like feeling the energy that when we think of bonds of friendship and connection that we feel. And it's really just because you're going through this process of healing from the loss that you have experienced. And so it is very challenging to do anything in life when you go through an experience of loss and you're working through the energy of grief. Anything in life, friendships, family relationships, romantic relationships, work, just getting up and like brushing your teeth and feeding yourself, anything can feel very difficult and challenging when you're going through that experience. And so Spirit is saying to just give yourself grace as you work through that energy. It's okay to feel the way that you feel, but with the Magician's Knight of Coins and Knight of Wands coming out, and even the Seven of Coins here, and the wand making, affirming and assuring the Magician card there, this is your sign to just start allowing yourself to take those baby steps to put yourself out there. And even more so than baby steps, because we have the Knight of Wands. This is about really trying to put yourself out there and trying to sort of get back into the flow of life. It will feel grueling at first. It won't feel fun, but Spirit is asking you to just kind of reflect on what you once thought of as fun, and to call up those old acquaintances, call up those old friends, ask them again if you can tag along to go do something with them, even if it's something as simple as like grocery shopping or just going out and sitting in the park for the day and playing cards or reading books together or just talking, just doing something to get out of your day-to-day routines and habits that you're in right now, so that you can start helping yourself along through the process of what it is that you're experiencing the loss from. Whether this is the loss of somebody transitioning to the other side, or if this is a loss of a close connection, friendship that you've lost in the recent past due to conflict or struggle. Okay. All right, so I know it's a very specific message coming through, but Spirit does keep bringing me back around to it. So it is definitely significant to somebody who chose this reading. And my love, I know it's hard. I have gone through that in the recent past as well. 3 years ago, well, almost 3 years ago, but it took me about 2 years to really come out of it and return to, quote unquote life before. It can take a while, and I'm still on the journey to getting certain things back, quote unquote back, because we never really get back to it. And so I know it's hard, but you will get through this. You will come out on the other side of it when you're meant to. But for now, just do what you can in your day-to-day to try to get out of those spaces that keep you confined, that keep you in that energy of pain. And just try to go back into those things that remind you of who you are on a core level, and the things that you find joy and passion within, and the connections in your life, or the connections that were previously in your life, that can help you to rediscover those parts of yourself as well. All right, so let's see our next oracle cards. We have Trickster, the Trickster energy here, and we have Innovator. All right, so let's see what this is about. This deck is the Oracle of the Divine, and it is new to me deck, so we are getting familiar with it together. So let's see. Okay, so the Trickster, when we think of tricksters, we think of jokesters, we can think of a little bit of a darker energy here, but what's coming through with this, again, it's just the reiteration that it's time for you to have fun. It's time for you to go out there and play some jokes on some people. I was just talking to somebody the other day I saw online, this writing piece where somebody was saying, kids today, they never go like ding dong ditch people's houses, or they don't TP people's homes anymore. And in some sense, we're kind of not allowed to, because everybody gets uppity about property and rights and things like that. And so it can be hard to do those things, but Spirit's saying to do something along those lines. So like maybe go buy a whoopee cushion and go prank your family members, or, go prank those acquaintances when you go out with them. Do something that allows you to really entertain your inner child in just a funny jokester way. Even if it doesn't seem very funny, it will help you to access that sense of joy and that energy of funness that you've really been missing out on, and that will help you to reconnect with other individuals in your life over something that, it seems kind of dumb, but it's really fun and funny, and it just entertains that aspect of being a bit of a jokester and lightening the mood a bit. Okay, and then again, what is something that you find fun to do? Going to the carnival, going bowling, going to the movies, going to like a pottery class, or those places where you can paint some clay, or going to like the shooting range is coming up. Just anything that you think is fun and that allows you to get out of your head and into connection with something that is a little bit more lighthearted. And just remember, it may not feel so fun at first, but the more you do it, the more you allow yourself to sink into the present moment of what it is that you're practicing and doing, and who you're connecting with and bonding through that experience. It will allow you to pave the way forward for a new path of connection in your individual personal life and in connection with the other individuals who are around you, trying to support you through this time as well, and trying to help guide you back to those spaces of yourself. Okay, loves. All right, loves. So let's go ahead and pull your last card now. So I know this reading took a bit of a turn. We didn't get too much on like when you're going to be meeting somebody new in terms of a new bond of friendship. And I think part of it is because you already have these bonds of connection in your life. It's just something that you've sort of gotten away from, or it's something that you keep at a distance. And so there is some sort of like homework that you were guided to work through in order to be able to reconnect with these bonds of friendship that are available to you now in your life. All right, but what we're going to do is we are going to pull a month of the year card. So I've taken all the months of the year cards out of the tea leaf fortune cards, and we're just going to see. So I was going to pull a card to see when will you meet your next best friend, but for you, I think this message will be more along the lines of when will you feel more relieved of this energy that you're healing from the previous connection in your life that you have lost or that has sort of fizzled out of your life, and when will you align with this this old connection or the connections that are already in your life in a deeper way, where it does feel like you have returned to a bond of a best friend. Okay, so let's see when this will take place for you. Okay, there we go. We have June. Okay, so June just happened. I'm filming this in the month of July, and so again, you know, like I shared, it took me 2 to 3 years, and I'm still healing from an energy of loss. And so for some of you, this is something that can take a full year to come to a cycle of completion from, but what I'm seeing is it's something that you've already initiated and started in the month of June. So I feel for a lot of you, you've been in this processing phase of just really being in that 5 of Coins energy and feeling the pain, feeling the turmoil of what has been removed from your life, what you have lost, what has shifted, what has changed. And now in the month of June, the most recent month of June 2026, I'm filming this July 2026, you started to realize that you needed to shift things. You needed to start coming out of that energy and to start to take steps towards healing in the physical and the external. And so as we circle back around to June 2027, there will be a deeper sense of closure around the energy that you are processing out of, and then you'll finally be in a space where you are reconnecting with life once again in a more lighthearted, fun way, and this energy of peace and love and joy will fully return to your life, and you'll have solid bonds of connection in your life once again that you can just feel a deeper sense of trust and love and reconnection with. Okay. All right, love, so that is it for your reading today. I thank you so much for tuning in and for allowing me to bring forth these messages of guidance. I know we were working with some heavier energy here, and the reading took a bit of a shift away from friendship and was more about this internal healing that you're working through. So I thank you so much for allowing me to deliver these messages of guidance to you as you work through this heavier energy at this time. All right, love, so thank you so much once again. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reading, please give this video a thumbs up, and I'd love to hear from you down below in the comments. Let me know if you chose pile 4. Let me know what that fun thing is that you're going to go out there and do, and let me know who you're going to bring along with you, okay? All right, loves, and if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I do also offer one-on-one private reading sessions. You just have to send me a DM on Instagram at selfunity, or you can use the new YouTube feature and send me a private message through YouTube's new messaging chat feature, and we can set up a one-to-one reading for you through there. All right, loves, I thank you so much once again. I'm sending you so much love and healing energy. I'm wishing you a beautiful, blessed day. Until next time, bye, love. Hello, loves. Welcome to those of you who chose pile 5. So if you were drawn to pile 5, you chose the 3 of Cups card from the Cozy Witch Tarot deck. And I'll read to you here. It says, come together with your coven, which we love because for your reading today, we are tapping in to see when will you meet your next best friend. So we will be receiving messages of insight and guidance around relationships of friendship in your reading today. So if you have any intentions or questions that you would like to ask around the energy of a friendship in your life, or one that you may be trying to call in and attract, go ahead and take a moment now to set those intentions and ask those questions, and trust that you will receive your answers and guidance exactly when you are meant to. All right, loves. So we are going to start by pulling your tarot cards, and then we will get into your messages of guidance for today. So let's see, what does pile 5 need to know? And I will let you know this is actually my first time, I believe, doing 5 pick a pile readings, and you are my last one for today. And woo! It's a lot of energy to work with, but I am so grateful to be creating these readings because we've been getting some really special messages of guidance in them. So I'm excited to see what comes through in your reading today, love. So thank you for being here with me. All right, so let's see what you need to know. So we first have 11 Justice. Stick to your truth and everything will turn out just fine. We also have 21 the World. Yay, you did it. Now do something to celebrate a job well done. All right, we also have 20 Judgment. Wow, we're starting out with the major arcana here. Judgment says, all the signs say that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And we have the 5 of Wands. A good coven lets every witch have a say. Alright, we also have Knight of Pentacles. Slowly but surely you're going places. And we had an extra card come out for you, which is the 2 of Swords. And this one says, wake up. What is it that you truly want? Alright, love. So let's see what's going on here in your reading today. Alright, you know what? I think I can fit your 2 of Swords up there. And then we don't have to tuck it away when we pull your Oracle cards. So let's see. Yeah, it kind of fits. Alright, but let's see what's coming through with your cards here. So it seems like we've got a little bit of a heavier energy we're working with here. I'm almost getting this energy where your focus has been on, I'm getting 2 different things. So one, you are likely a part of a specific social circle. Okay, so I'm seeing different scenarios here. You know, maybe you live in a small town, or you live in the same city that you've lived in since you were a child, and so you've had close bonds with the same people that you grew up with. Okay, and then another scenario I'm seeing is like maybe you're part of like a fraternity or a sorority. Okay, and so there's like you know, a group of people that you're bonded with through that experience, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a fraternity or a sorority, but like that sort of energy, like some type of club that you're a part of. I'm also seeing like gatherings, like D&D games, you know, something very specific where there's like a group of people and you come together to share a similar interest or to bond over something very specific. The other scenario I'm seeing is around work. So maybe you're like really bonded with the people that you work with, and you know, after you work together during the day, you go out for drinks at night, you go do dinner, the whole thing, and you're just together a lot of the time, and you formed a very close bond with these individuals. Okay, but what I'm seeing here in relation to that is that recently it feels like things have sort of taken a turn where something may have gone wrong in this connection or the connections that you share. And it almost feels like there was a divide where people started to take sides. Okay, this can also be representative of the energy of like a divorce, or maybe you were with somebody in a romantic relationship, or you were married to an individual and you decided to go your own separate ways. But because you were bonded, you had bonds with other individuals, you know, each other's families, each other's friendship. Maybe you share the same friendship group. And when you decided to separate, it's like it's not that people were necessarily taking sides, but it just kind of naturally felt that way, or things fell into place that way, where it's like, you know, maybe if you're a woman, the women gravitated towards you. If you're a man, the men gravitated towards you, or vice versa, okay? Or there could be deeper situations going on within the friendship group or within the group as a whole, where people started to take sides because maybe a situation happened where it could be perceived as being wrongdoing. And so, you know, people started to kind of gang up on the people who were, you know, doing wrong. And it just fell that way, where like the sides were sort of divided. And so this is sort of the energy that you've been having to work through, is almost like questioning if you're able to even confide in and trust the people that you had always once confided in and trusted in for a long period of time, or maybe even since childhood, if you resonate with that energy of like, you know, living in the same place and being friends with your childhood friends still. But it does feel like there was a divide of some sort, and you're having to come to terms with the knowing that things are no longer the same because something came in and disrupted that energy. And so what's coming through in relation to that and where you're at now is that there is an ending that has taken place, but there still needs to be a sense of closure brought to this energy as a whole. So I'm seeing that you're still trying to make sense of this energy and what happened and what went wrong versus what went right, and just reflecting on it as a whole. But with the World card here, justice and judgment, framing the World card here, I am seeing that this connection or connections that you shared with these other individuals or one individual has come to a close, and now you're being gifted the time to make peace with that relationship having come to a close now. And I know it can be hard to do that because this was a situation or a group of people that you deeply cared about, but I do feel that if you were drawn to pile 5, you're very much like strong-headed, and you're able to see exactly where things went wrong. And even though there may be some emotional discomfort that you're working through and processing from having this relationship or these relationships separate from you, you are able to see why things have happened the way that they've happened, and you will be able to move on and move forward from this connection with a deeper sense of strength and grace. Like you have a complete understanding of it. There is just a bit of indecision when it comes to your mind and heart trying to work things out, because you still deeply care about these individuals. You know a lot about their lives. You developed a bond over a similar interest for a long period of time, and so it can be really challenging to make peace with the knowing that this collective or this individual and you have separated, have gone your separate ways, and are going to continue going your separate ways, okay? But there is a new path that is available to you, and this is paving the way for you to make new connections moving forward in your life, okay? Let's see if we can get a little deeper insight on that and where you're going. I feel Spirit's going to be holding back a little because you're still in this energy of processing the closure and the closing of this previous connection or this collective collection that you were a part of. I am seeing too with the Justice card there could be like a situation with the court system here, the justice system, and you may not be able to fully bring a sense of closure to this relationship or relationships until things settle in the courts. And for some of you, you may actually be being called up to testify in some way as well, or to like submit like a personal interest piece of vouching for somebody or speaking up for somebody. And then maybe on the other side, like being defensive for someone, a defendant, or just testifying for something that you bared witness to, or you know, something along those lines. So it may also take some time for you to fully bring a deeper sense of closure to this connection, because you're waiting for things to play out in the court systems and the justice systems. Because there is like a legal battle going on. Okay, and that may not resonate for everyone. So if you're not already going through that, that does not apply to you. All right, but let's go ahead and take a deeper look at what's coming up next for you when you do bring a sense of closure to the bonds that you are releasing yourself from. Okay, so we have 5, the Hierophant. Tradition is important, but it doesn't have to be everything. And then we have Ace of Cups. Do you feel that in your heart? That's potential, dear. Okay, yes. So again, Spirit is holding back a little bit because you're still working on bringing a deeper sense of closure to the relationships or the collective relationship that is dismantling itself from your present reality. But the Hierophant's coming out with a reminder that even though this collective energy, these relationships that you were bonded to are very familiar to you, they're traditional, there's something that you've grown used to, there's something that you've grown familiar with, it doesn't mean that those relationships are meant to be in your life forever, and they actually weren't meant to be in your life forever. It's very likely that they came into your life when they did to offer you what it is that you needed during the time when those connections were thriving and offering you a sense of love and trust and bonding. And now it seems that they may be offering you deeper lessons and truths around relationships with others. And it seems like there may be deeper truths that you're learning about yourself as well through this experience of it being dismantled and having to go your own separate ways and do your own separate things without each other. Now, it doesn't mean that the relationship was never meant to happen, and it doesn't mean that love can't exist where it did once exist. It just means that it's going to take on a new form, and now you're going to be providing the love that you were giving to this connection or these connections to yourself in a new way and in a new light. All right, and with the Hierophant coming out too, Spirit's affirming that it doesn't mean that you have to completely disconnect from, if this is a group situation, it doesn't mean that you have to completely disconnect from every single bond that was formed in that group. Like I said, with that energy of like taking sides, there may be like 1 or 2 people that you still remain in contact with, and that's just energy moving through here. There may still be like 1 or 2 people that you remain in close contact with and continue to develop your bond with. Okay, but with the Ace of Cups coming out as a clarifier as well, this is just further reiterating that there is a potential new emotional connection or bond that will be available to you once you finish and complete working out the energy that is needing you to bring a sense of peace and closure to what has separated and disconnected from your life when it comes to these relationships and bonds that you once and still deeply care about. It's just that they've taken on a new form and you've had to separate and release yourself from those connections in some way. All right, so let's go ahead and pull your oracle cards now. Something that caught my eye was with this Knight of Pentacles too. Some of you, I'm really getting the energy of like work, and so some of you could just be shifting your focus to career and work, especially with the Justice card there too. And again, this could be like the relationships that you're disconnecting from could be work relationships as well. All right, so let's go ahead and pull your oracle cards now. You know, let me make sure you can see. Okay, you can see all your cards. All right. Oh, wow. Okay, we have 3 come out all together. So let's see what your cards are. Okay, so we have Rewild, number 29. Let your soul's garden grow wild, setting yourself free and allowing mysteries to surprise you. Yeah, so you're moving into completely new territory. You have been released from a connection, a relationship, multiple relationships that sort of locked you into a specific mindset, a specific niche, a specific energy of interest, and now you've been set free from that energy and you get to relearn who you are and who you want to be associated and connected with. You're learning things over from ground zero. You're trying new things, you're putting new things into practice, you're seeing what's out there, who's out there, who you enjoy connecting with, who you don't enjoy connecting with. And you're just getting to try new things from a new light, a new perspective, without the attachments that you had to these previous relationships and connections that you have now separated from and are continuing to close the door upon. Oh gosh, this card again, this card came out in, I think, pile 3's reading. And, oh, maybe it was pile 4. And I just can't say this word, so let's give it a go again. Peonies. Number 28. It is time to reap your rewards. Settle in for a ride with Lady Luck. Okay, so luck is on your side. So if some of you are working with the court system here, this is just a confirmation that things will turn out in your favor. If there's something that you have to do that you're feeling hesitant about doing, you know, such as like testifying or being a defendant or something like that. I don't know if that's the right terminology there, but I keep getting like being on the defense, like you're having to defend somebody, speak up for somebody, and then, you know, sort of work against somebody. But I'm seeing here that maybe you're wanting to do this behind closed doors, and I am seeing that may definitely be a possibility for you, where you can just submit like a written agreement. Your name will be sort of off the record. The other individuals won't see it. They won't know who gave that testimony. And so in this situation, luck will be on your side, okay? Things will work in your favor. All right, we also have stargazing with number 33. It takes a lot of courage to reach for the stars, to expand the self, but it is possible. All right, with this card coming out, this is assurance that for some of you, the separation of the bonds that you shared, that you are now separating from and closing the door upon, it is very likely that it is something that you initiated. Okay, this may not resonate with everybody, but for some of you, this is a separation, a disconnect that you yourself initiated because you were choosing to walk a different path. There was something that you decided to start pursuing on your own. You wanted to start rewilding and learning new things about yourself and adventuring into new parts of the world. And it didn't necessarily vibe with the collective group that you were bonding with. It's almost like it threatened them, or, you know, they just didn't like it. They didn't understand it. And so in some way, it's like they sort of felt this energy of feeling threatened by it. And they started to sort of push you out of the relationship, push you away from the group, because they couldn't support you in you choosing to pursue new avenues of interest. And I'm sorry, my loves, because that's so unfortunate, because, you know, you have free will and you can choose to do things that you want to do in your life. And if you decide to pursue something new that's different from what your collective community is interested in, they should still be of support to you, even if they don't fully understand it. I know that's not always how life in the world works, but it does seem like through you choosing to pursue something that was of deeper interest to you, it opened up the ability for you to see who your true friends and true bonds were with, okay? And so that could also be where that energy of that like taking sides comes in, where like some people were supporting you and some people just did not understand it, and you could still be working through that energy, especially if this is about especially if like some of the bonds are with family members. You know, sometimes family members don't always understand why you're choosing to pursue a path that is not of tradition, and I think we even had that card come out, here with the Hierophant. Tradition's important, but it doesn't have to be everything. Everyone can't always see that tradition doesn't have to be everything, and that traditions can change. And so it seems like you were sort of challenging the status quo of the communities and the groups that you were bonded to and a part of. Maybe you suggested new ways of doing things or trying things, and it just wasn't heard, it wasn't received. And so it started to create this energy of like a bubble effect, and it started to kind of push you away and out of that group. And maybe you chose to up and leave those bonds yourself, and now you're having to work through that energy of completely closing the door on those connections and making peace with the choices that you've made for yourself, to prosper and flourish in the new paths of interest that you've been moving towards. And I know this is challenging because we have the Two of Swords here. I know it's been challenging for you. It hasn't been extremely easy. There's been battles that you've been fighting on an internal level, and for some of you on an external level as well. If this is like about a work environment, maybe you were choosing to do certain things, and your work environment felt threatened by it, and so they started to pursue like matters that were connected with legal means, and it's just created like a whole other world of things that you had to deal with that you weren't expecting to deal with just from making this one choice. But again, with the 28 peonies here coming in, this is assurance that you have done nothing wrong, and you will receive exactly what you need when it comes to things working in your favor, as long as you're being truthful to yourself and honest with yourself, and in terms of like the situation as a whole that you may be speaking up about or against. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and pull your next oracle cards, loves. So we're pulling 2 oracle cards from the Oracle of the Divine, and this deck is a little new to me, so we are going to be getting familiar with it together. All right, so your first card is ambition. Yes, you have ambition. You have goals you want to achieve, places you want to see, people you want to meet, and you are going for it. And we also have vitality, and those other people that have separated from your life, they just could not keep up with you. They didn't deserve to follow you into the new spaces that you are moving towards. And my loves, I know for some of you did not make this choice consciously. You wanted these people to come with you, you wanted them to support you, but you are moving past that energy of those desires because the band-aid has been ripped off, the rose-colored glasses have come off, and you're able to see these individuals for who they truly are. And it seems like they were unable and are unable to support you in your journey moving forward as a whole. They just can't see or understand or grasp onto why it is you're doing the things that you're doing now, why you're moving towards these spaces. And that is okay. I know it's hard mentally and emotionally to let go of these bonds, but because you're able to see who they truly are when it comes to the energy that they are unwilling to provide for you when you're making changes in your life and choices in your life that will better your life in the long term and moving forward, it's going to be so much easier for you to cut ties with those relationships. I know it's still emotionally hard, it's still mentally hard to make those decisions in the beginning, but the deeper you get in your path of moving away from these connections and to pursuing your dreams and the things that interest you, you will create new connections that are more emotionally supportive and encouraging, and that can hold you through all the changes that you shift through in your life. So you will find a new connection or multiple new connections with people who actually support you and can hold you through the changes that you are growing into, that you are elevating into. And like I said, for some of you, it's not a clean sweep. There are 1-2 individuals that you are bringing along with you into this next stage of your journey, because they see you for who you truly are and they love you at your core, and they're not going to allow the changes that you're making in your life to separate the bonds that you share. Those are the true bonds, and you know that and you see that. Okay. All right, loves. So now we're going to pull your last card. And so what I did was I pulled out all the months of the year's cards from the tea leaf fortune cards here. And I was going to pull a month card to see when will you meet your next best friend. And so, you know, we'll do that. I know that a lot of the messages that came through in your reading were more so about the energy of closure that you're bringing towards these relationships, or the relationship that you're choosing to separate from. And Spirit didn't give us a whole lot about what's next for you, because you're still bringing a deeper sense of closure to this energy, setting things up for the new interest that you're learning about and moving closer towards. But we'll see. We'll get some guidance on when you will align with these new relationships in your life that will provide you with a deeper sense of emotional support through all the changes and choices that you make in your life now and moving forward. So let's see, when will pile 5 meet their next best friend? All right, let's see what we have. Okay, and before I turn it over, Spirit's also saying that this month will symbolize closure around the justice, the things going on in the court system as well, since we talked quite a bit about that. So let's see the month of the year, March. All right, so March, I know this seems a little ways off in relation to when I'm filming this and sharing this in July 2026. But remember, you are still working through this means of closure. Sometimes things in the justice system can take quite a long time to work out. And it seems like if that is something you're working through, there are a lot of moving components. There's a lot of people involved, different sides, you know, people taking different sides here. And so March, it's not too far away when we think of things from that lens, and then from the lens of you being able to meet your next best friend, or to align with being able to open yourself up to new connections in a similar way to what it is that you're bringing healing from. March is not too far off, because again, you're still bringing closure to these connections that you have chosen to separate from, and you're still learning to make peace and find resolution and understanding and why things have happened the way that they happened. And you're also aligning with a whole new path for yourself, because you've chosen to walk away from those connections to pursue something new that is deeply interesting to you, that you're really passionate about, that you have a lot of ambition and drive towards. And so March is when things will start to make a little bit more sense when it comes to this energy of your relationships and connections, of friendship. And of course, if you resonate with those messages about the court system as well, this is when this will start to tie up and come to a close as well. All right, love. So that is it for your reading today. I thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this reading, please give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. Let me know that you chose pile 5. I would love to hear from you all and how the messages that came through in your reading resonated with you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for allowing me to deliver these messages of guidance for you, my loves. All right, loves. So if you would also like to book a personal reading with me, I do offer one-to-one readings. You just have to send me a DM on Instagram at selfunity, or you can use YouTube's new chat feature and send me a private message through the YouTube chat feature, and we can set up a personal reading for you through there as well. All right, loves. I thank you so much once again. I'm wishing you a beautiful, blessed day. Until next time. Bye, loves.